Welcome to a year of eternal love. A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students, Lesson 16. I have no neutral thoughts. The idea for today is a beginning step in dispelling the belief that your thoughts have no effect. Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. There is no exception to this fact. Thoughts are not big or little, powerful or weak. They are merely true or false. Those that are true create their own likeness. Those that are false make theirs. There is no self-contradictory concept than that of idle thoughts. What gives rise to the perception of a whole world can hardly be called idle. Every thought you have contributes to truth or to illusion. Either it extends the truth or it multiplies illusion. You can indeed multiply nothing, but you will not extend it by doing so. Besides your recognizing that thoughts are never idle, salvation requires that you also recognize that every thought you have brings either peace or war, either love or fear. A neutral result is impossible because a neutral thought is impossible. There is such a temptation to dismiss fear thoughts as unimportant, trivial, and not worth bothering about it, that it is essential you recognize them all as equally destructive but equally unreal. We will practice this idea in many forms before you really understand it. In applying the idea for today, search your mind for a minute or so with your eyes closed and actively seek not to overlook any little thought you may tend to elude the search. This is quite difficult until you get used to it. You will find that it is still hard for you not to make artificial distinctions. And every thought that occurs to you, regardless of the qualities that you assign to it, is a suitable subject for applying today's idea. In the practice periods, first repeat the idea to yourself. And then as each one crosses your mind, hold it in awareness while you tell yourself, this thought about blank is not a neutral thought. That thought about blank is not a neutral thought. As usual, use today's idea whenever you are aware of a particular thought that arouses uneasiness. And the following form is suggested for this purpose. This thought about blank is not a neutral thought because I have no neutral thoughts. 4 or 5 practice periods today are recommended, if you find them relatively effortless. If strain is experienced, 3 will be enough. The length of the exercise period should also be reduced if there's any discomfort. And for the insights, today's lesson 16, I have no neutral thoughts. We have this tendency to believe that if something is meaningless, it has no effect. But what this is pointing out today, that's really not true. Being meaningless does not mean it's not being ineffectual to the extent that the thoughts I hold in my mind are meaningless. I am unaware of what is meaning. These meaningless thoughts, this is the barrier, the blocks to recognizing meaning. Just as separation is a barrier to love, the blocks to love. And since all real meaning is of our oneness, of love, that separation from love is separation from meaning, is therefore it is meaningless. These idle thoughts, that they will project something or extend something. Separation is not meaningless. It's clearly not ineffectual. The world we see is in effect a projection of our belief in separation. Separation is I'm here, you're over there. That we're bodies. Our belief in the separation, we see the pain and loss, the devastation and death that we see in this world, is the effect of believing in that separation. Even though separation is not real. What today is really pointing out is about the power of our thoughts. And our thoughts do reflect our beliefs. If we believe in the meaningless, our thoughts are going to show us a meaningless world. And it stands as that barrier to the recognition of love. This is why it's so very important that we do also the exercises, especially if something comes up that's very uneasy to you today. That we can see something different. We choose to see something different, and that instead of we get succumbed in, we're awash in it. The tidal wave of that emotion carries us to further judgment, more fear. Practice periods are so important. That's why we have them. Even if you do not understand them, do them. Do them anyways. This is how we will gain the knowledge, by doing. I want to thank you for joining with me today. I love you. Do you feel that? I'm extending that out to you. That's the nowness of now. This is a year of eternal love. I hope you'll join me tomorrow for lesson 17. Until then, God bless.